Hey Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check out the link above to my Patreon page. I'll also put the link down below in the description. This is a replay of a sort of random match that I played in one of my recent leagues. Just thought the gameplay was pretty interesting, and I thought you guys would enjoy seeing it. This is one of the leagues where I was running Tidebinder in the main. So Wooded Foothills, I kept with Mutavault AEther Vial on the draw. We've got 2 Spreading Seas, so even one island off the top means we're going to be able to play a bunch of spells, and AEther Vial will hopefully let us get our creatures onto the board. So Stomping Ground into Wild Nacatl, it could be kind of like a more traditional zoo build, or it could be kind of Naya Burn with Wild Nacatl. So we definitely want an island here. Trickster is fantastic against Wild Nacatl because when you take its text away, it just becomes a 1/1. So sort of like the interaction with Tarmogoyf, we can eat Wild Nacatls with Merfolk Tricksters. So I did not draw land. It's pretty rough because it's a very slow start. I want to play Sacred Foundry. We still don't know exactly what they're on, but Wild Nacatl is now a 3/3. And let's see, what's the follow-up? No more creatures on that turn. It's interesting. I wonder why they played that land untapped. Potentially we will see. AEther Vial is going to go up to 1, and we still want to draw that island. Well, another AEther Vial is better than another creature at this point, so not terribly disappointed to see that AEther Vial, and we're just going to pass here. It's totally possible that we want to chump with Benthic Biomancer to keep our life total healthy here. Opponent not using their mana at all there. Very strange. Okay, so this is some kind of zoo deck with Pelt Collector. If there's Pelt Collector in the deck and red, it's probably going to have Vexing Devil because Vexing Devil triggers twice for Pelt Collector, once when it enters and once when it dies. Steam Vent's untapped. Okay, they're going to get in with the Wild Nacatl. And as I mentioned, since all we need to do is get our AEther Vials onto 2 to get all of these great creatures out onto the board, we're just going to sacrifice our Benthic Biomancer here. Keep our life total as high as possible. See if the opponent actually has a play now. They don't. I mean, hitting their life total like this makes me think maybe they're like playing Death Shadow, but they don't have any black mana, even with their fetch land. So the AEther Vials will tick up. And another Mutavault means some defense, which is not super terrible, but we're not drawing any of those islands that we've wanted to draw. So now the play seems to probably be try to eat Nacatl with Trickster. But we'll see what the opponent does here. Okay, tapping out for Bloodbraid Elf. So it's just, kind of green-red aggro deck with Tribal Flames. So they've got 4 different basic land types. So Tribal Flames is going to do 4 damage to my face. Opponent probably thinks they're doing pretty well here, but they're going to get kind of blown out in combat. So get in with all these guys, representing 8 more damage. I'm going to Vial in Trickster here. It's going to eat the Wild Nacatl, or at least make it eatable. And then activates Mutavault to kill this Pelt Collector before it has a chance to get bigger. So this turn is actually a win for us. We eat their Nacatl, it's a 2-for-1, and trade with the Pelt Collector. And then we can lock down this Bloodbraid Elf with this Tidebinder Mage if necessary next turn. Note that because they hit their life total so hard, they're at 11. Not going to be difficult for us to close that gap, especially since they give us access to Island Walk with that Steam Vents. AEther Vials both stay on 2. There's a 3rd AEther Vial. Pretty sweet. And we can go ahead and attack here. Vial in a Lord even, because we've got the Tidebinder Mage backing us up. Okay, another Bloodbraid is pretty rough, but nothing we can't handle. Another Tribal Flames does increase the pressure. They go after the Lord. Nothing we can do about that. But we can tap down one of these Bloodbraids, and then we definitely won't block, because that would just free up the other Bloodbraid. So we're going to take 3 here. If we draw any land, We can activate this Mutavault and attack, or, you know, block with it, or just play Spreading Seas. So a creature would be good here. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 here on the Aether Vials. We do have Reejerey still in the deck. Lord is solid, since if we had another land to activate Mutavault, we'd just win here with 9. But since we can't do that, I think we're going to go ahead, Vial in the Lord here, and swing for 6. We have a Lord as a blocker, and if they throw Burn at the Lord, they're not throwing it at our face. So if they attack in here, obviously I'm going to block with the Lord. And the opponent scooped. So, you know, pretty awesome game there for us. We opened just with Mutavault, didn't draw any blue lands, got hit by 2 Bloodbraids with 2 Tribal Flames, Pelt Collector, Wild Nacatl. We're able to block with a Mutavault. Trickster ate one of the, the Wild Nacatl. Tidebinder Mage, locking down the Bloodbraid Elf. Lords helping push damage. Just a really nice Merfolk game 1. Let's go ahead and see how game 2 went. Okay, back for game 2. The opponent's going to be on the play. Let's check out the sideboard. So my sideboard has kind of been in flux lately. I think in this league I might have only had 2 relics. So I took out 1 Ben, 2 Seas. Possible we want to cut all the Seas since they're probably going to give us access to Island Walk, but they are kind of a color-intensive deck. They do care about getting Tribal Flames as high as possible. So I left 2 Spreading Seas in. Since it's a creature deck, first and foremost, I chose to trim 2 Force of Negations. I think I brought in 2 Dismembers. I might have had 3 in this league. Brought in the extra Echoing Truth. And that might be it, really. Like Dismembers and Echoing Truth. Creature interaction. Okay, this is a keep. Looking really good. Loving these main deck Tidebinder Mages. Pelt Collector, we've got answers to that guy. Again with the 1 land action. Double Tidebinder Mage, not bad though. Okay, Blood Crypt into Wild Nacatl. That thing doesn't have haste. Not super scary. Pelt Collector in for 2. They took 2 life going with Blood Crypt here. Second land is pretty nice. I'm going to use my mana here to dismember the Pelt Collector before it gets gigantic, and hold up mana for another Dismember. It didn't really want to run out a creature into what looked like pretty clear Lightning Bolt mana there, especially with the opponent having paid life for the Blood Crypt. There is black mana though, so it's totally possible that they run some Death Shadows. Should be surprised if they didn't. Getting in with the Wild Nacatl, this is when we want to cast the second Dismember. I'm already down to 10, but they don't have any creatures on board, which is a pretty great place for us to be. Okay, so Tarmogoyf, not looking amazing here with us sitting on 2 Tidebinder Mages. Third island, I think we can just pass with Force up, play it slow, see what they've got for us. Beginning of combat, we're definitely going to tap down that Goyf. If the opponent tries to remove the Tidebinder, we've got Force of Negation up. Tribal Flames at our face. I think it's, 1, 2, 3, it's a full value since they have black, red, blue, white, green. That's pretty awesome. So we're going to counter that because 5 damage is half of our life total. And they chose not to point it at Tidebinder Mage, so I guess they're feeling like the only way for them to get there right now seems to be, attacking my life total. Leave the Aether Vial on 2. Now it's time to start getting aggressive. Swing for 3. Vexing Devil, we're going to let that thing live. Kind of funny with an extra Tidebinder Mage in hand. I will Vial that in, and this is a 1-turn clock right now, since we have the extra Lord. Tap the Vexing Devil. Leave Aether Vial on 2. And even Mutavault is a pretty good draw. It's going to be able to stonewall any creatures, but unless they have Path to Exile, it's just game over. And they scooped. So a really good showing for the main deck Tidebinder Mages. I mean, against like red-green creature decks, it's going to be great. But you also got to see a little bit of the value of Force of Negation and the power of 1-land Aether Vial hands. You typically want to keep them. The card that we have the most of in the deck is lands, and AEther Vial is going to let us play Magic as long as it doesn't get thought seized or destroyed. And when you're playing against a creature deck like this, the odds of that happening are pretty slim. It's totally reasonable they might bring in something like a Kolaghan's Command or a Wear Tear or something. But in general, 1-land Vial hands, especially on the draw, are going to be some of our strongest hands. So please leave your thoughts down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. And please take a moment to check out my Patreon page if you enjoy my videos and want to support the channel. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And yeah, I'll be back soon with some more gameplay videos. And I'll see you there. Bye.